the three biggest tax mistakes service providers make every year. That's what we're talking about on today's Tax Therapy Tuesday. Welcome to another Tuesday. I am your host, Chastity Grady, and at my company, Grady Tax Plus, it is our number one goal to make sure that we are keeping the IRS out of your pockets so that you can live a better life. Why? Because you deserve it. And if you are new to me, I am the go to expert for social workers and therapists in business, primarily because my background comes from being a licensed clinical social worker, making me that go to expert for the field. And so, here we go. On today. We're talking about the three biggest tax mistakes service providers make every year. Okay, and on today, my goal is to help you save you some money. Okay, my goal is to help you save some money because the thing is that with these three mistakes that I'm going to talk about, they are all avoidable, right? You can avoid making these mistakes if you just recognize that the things that you are doing is a mistake. And so that tax season can become predictable for you and not feel painful, right? Oftentimes, tax season for many of you, it feels very painful. If it feels stressful, and it doesn't have to feel that way. It can actually be predictable. So at this time, I'm going to take the opportunity to go ahead and share this live out to a couple groups. One second. All right, let's share this live out to a couple groups, and I will suggest that you do the same. All right, so here we go. The three biggest tax mistakes that I see service providers make every year. And number one, as we just said, is has to do with tax season. Okay, waiting until tax season to think about taxes. And the reason why this is a mistake is because when you don't look at your numbers all year, when you don't set aside money consistently, when you don't estimate what you owe, when April comes, it's going to feel like a surprise to you. It's going to feel like a surprise to you. And tax season should not feel like a surprise to you, right? Again, tax season should be predictable. If you've been keeping track of everything, if you've been setting aside the correct or as close to correct amount of money each quarter, then it's predictable, right? You know what to expect. Most of you, you don't know what to expect, and it becomes surprising for you whenever you get your tax bill or whenever you file your tax return. And it shouldn't be that way, right? And taxes, it doesn't actually have to be expensive, right? Taxes only become expensive when you're not paying attention. When you're not paying attention to your taxes, then that's when it becomes an expensive thing for you because you've avoided it, you haven't monitored it, you haven't did anything regarding it. But here's the thing, and I talk to y'all about this all the time. When you tax planning gives you the power. Tax planning gives you the power because now the ball is in your court. When the ball is in your court, when you tax plan, when you use tax strategies, when you know these are the things that I'm going to do to help me save money on my tax return, then the power is in your hand. The ball is in your court. And tax season, like again, does not have to be a surprise for you. Now it becomes predictable. Okay. Okay. So number two, yes, we're getting into this. We're going to be quick today. Mistake number two that I see is having messy or inconsistent bookkeeping. Messy bookkeeping means that either you don't have anything at all, like no spreadsheet, no bookkeeping or accounting software. Inconsistent meaning like maybe you use a spreadsheet, but you're not consistent. Maybe you've only put in 1 month and you still have 11 months to go. Maybe you aren't categorizing if you do your own bookkeeping. Maybe you aren't categorizing. Your bookkeeping is behind, right? Or messy messy could also be you commingling means that you're mixing your personal and your business expenses together, right? Or manually tracking things without accuracy, right? And that becomes a thing that makes you be inconsistent because if you're not tracking things accurately, then your bookkeeping is going to have some holes in it. And when your bookkeeping have holes in it, you miss out on tax deductions. Okay, when you miss out on tax deductions, you increase your taxable income, right? The IRS, they're only going to tax you on your taxable income. They're not going to tax you on your gross. The gross is if I bill a client for $120, that means that the IRS they won't tax you on the 120. Out of that 120, if you then pay for software, if you pay for office supplies, office expenses, and out of that 120, you're left with $50, then the IRS is going to tax you on that $50. Okay, so that's why it's important to have consistent and accurate bookkeeping, because we want to get down to what is my taxable income. What is the IRS actually going to tax me on, right? After I've done my tax planning, after I've done my tax strategies, what am I left with? What is the income that the IRS is actually going to tax me on? And when my bookkeeping is not messy, and when my bookkeeping is and when it's consistent, I'm able to know a ballpark. What is my taxable income, right? Because again, that's what the IRS is going to tax us on. So not what you gross, not what you gross. It's about what you're netting. Okay. So if you don't document, if you don't have any documentation, whether that's with the spreadsheet or your profit and loss statement, then then it doesn't exist. We don't know what to put on your tax return, right? We don't know what to put on your tax return. And that's a mistake. Again, that's a mistake. One of the biggest mistakes that I see that people in business are making every year. Okay, let me get to number three. The third one is that when you're not planning for your self-employment taxes. In my understanding small business taxes training, I teach you on there being uh, listen, there can be technically like five types of taxes, but I'll talk to you about three or four of them. Okay, but technically, no, there's six. I just thought about another one. So there's six types of taxes that you could be subject to. As a business owner, there are six types of taxes that you could be subject to. Okay, number one, you have federal income tax, you have Social Security, you have Medicare, you have state tax, and then if you have local tax, and then sales tax if you have to pay sales tax. Okay. Also, there's also another tax. Oh my gosh, I thought about another tax. A seventh tax is that sometimes if you work from home and you have put on your homestead that you run your business out of your home, then your local county they can send you a business and personal property form for you to fill out so that they can tax you on the items that you have in your home office. Yes, that's the thing. So that's a seventh, a seventh tax that you could be subject to as a business owner. But let me just talk about the self employment, because the self employment tax that's one of the harder taxes that you can avoid. Okay, well, not that you can avoid it, but that's one of the taxes that could be detrimental to your tax return. And the reason being is because after you've done your tax strategies, after you've done your tax planning, you're left with your net profit. And then you take that net profit and you multiply that technically by 15.3%, but there's a whole nother calculation. Technically, you're supposed to multiply by 92.35% and then multiply that number by 15.3%. But for the purpose of this live, so I don't get too technical with you all, you multiply the net profit by 15.3%. And that tax right there is an automatic tax if you are a PLLC, LLC, sole proprietor, independent contractor, DBA, if you're a partnership. That tax right there is literally stuck on your return. Once that tax is calculated, it is stuck on your return. And so if that tax is $10,000, then it's going to be $10,000 plus your federal income tax. If you live in a state with state tax, if you have local taxes, it's going to be in addition to all of the other taxes. And some people fail to realize that. Maybe you think that, oh, I just have my federal income tax to worry about and that's it. No, that self-employment tax, listen, if that one is the one that hits hard, I'll be honest. That is the tax that hits a lot of service-based business owners really hard. Okay, because like I said, you don't just pay income tax, the federal income tax. You don't just pay your state tax. You also have the Social Security and Medicare, which is called self-employment tax when you are responsible for the full amount. Now, typically, when you are an employee, you're splitting that cost with your employer. So your employer is taking on half of it, and then you take on half of it. But as a business owner, you're both working in and for your business. So that means you take on both sides, that full 15.3%. And again, that tax, it definitely hits hard when you're not planning for it, and you'll always feel like you're paying the IRS too much. right? You always feel like that you're paying the IRS too much in taxes if you're not planning for this specific one, okay? If you're not planning for this specific one. So you want to be prepared, which is why I say this is one of those mistakes that I see several business owners make, not just service based, but multiple industries who are not S corps or C corps, is that self-employment tax, right? And so I want to talk to y'all about a couple other patterns that I see, and then I'm gonna wrap the live up for today, because many of you you underprice your services, you don't understand your break even point, you don't actually know what your take home pay is, and that's again that goes back to number one that I was telling y'all about. When you're waiting until tax season, number two, when you have messy and inconsistent bookkeeping, that helps you not know what your take home is, right? At the end of the day, after I've made what I've made, after I spent what I spent for the business, what is my take home pay? How much can the business supports me, right? How much can a business supports me? And oftentimes we can fix our tax situation. We can often fix our tax situation and um, be more content with filing tax returns if we understood, or if we had, or if you had rather, monthly bookkeeping. If you had your monthly bookkeeping, if you had awareness of your quarterly tax payments that you need to pay, a clear understanding of what your net profit is, again, your revenue, the money that you bring in minus your expenses, that's your net profit. And then having intentional tax planning before the end of the year gets here, not during tax season. We don't tax plan for the prior year during tax season. You anything that's going on to the tax return for 2025, all of that should have been dealt with in 2025, not in 2026. At this point, it's a little too late. There's only one to two tax strategies that you can use to help you in 2026, and that has to deal with retirement. So those are some ways that you can help yourself not make those three biggest mistakes that I see, just by being consistent and having accurate bookkeeping and being aware of the quarterly tax payments that you need to make. And also, again, tax planning, right? You're not exempt from needing to tax plan. All business owners, if you're in business, if you're an independent contractor, if you're a sole proprietor, then guess what? You are eligible to tax plan. You don't have to be a Fortune 500 company. You don't have to be a Fortune 100 company in order to tax plan. Just by you being in business for yourself, by you being self-employed, independent contractor, all of the things, because the IRS lumps you all into one category, whether you recognize it or not. You are recognized as a business owner in the eyes of the IRS. And if you are a business owner, you are eligible to tax plan. You are eligible to use tax strategies to help benefit you so that you don't pay a lot of money in taxes, right? How great does that sound? I don't know about you, but when you realize that you can, there's certain tax strategies, certain things that you can do to help benefit you, keep more money of keep more of your money in your pocket and out of the IRS. It helps. I don't know. It makes being in business fun. I don't know about you, but being in business can be fun. Yes, it's serious. Yes, it's a serious matter, but it can also be fun. It doesn't have to be stressful, right? It doesn't have to be stressful. You control the cards. You control who you want to work with. You control the types of clients that you want to have. And that's another thing I want to talk to y'all about. Yeah, let's talk about it today just for a second. We typically will talk about it on Talk to Me Thursday, but let me just talk to you about it for a brief second since I brought it up. In business, you are the one who can say who I will and will not see. You have that control over the types of clients that you want to bring in. You have control over who you want to say yes to. You don't have to say yes to any and everybody who decides that they want to work with you. Okay? That's the whole point. That's the whole beauty of being in business, so that you can have that discretion, so that you can use your discernment on who is going to help you sleep good at night, who's going to help you not have anxiety throughout the day, right? And if you feel like there's people who you are working with who's causing you anxiety, who's causing you stress, who's not in alignment with your ability to help them, then respectfully release them for your own sanity, for your own peace, and in a respectable way, right? Go ahead and release those people, right? You don't want to. Okay, you already work a job. If you still work a job, you already work a job where you're required to do things. You're required to do that. You're required to do the things that you don't want to do. Why why require yourself to do that same thing in your business when you have the luxury to decide, you know what, I don't need that money as bad. I rather have my peace. I rather enjoy my peace, and I rather take on the clients who are gonna bring me peace to my life. Who's gonna bring peace? Who's going to make me feel happy that I am actually serving them, and not feeling stressed and dreading getting on the call with them, dreading seeing an email from them, dreading all the things. Let's not operate our business that way. Let's not do that, right? You have the autonomy. You have the right to serve who you want to serve in your business, and nobody can tell you otherwise. Because who's the CEO? Who's the CEO? Who's above you, other than like federal laws and things like that? But who's above you? Nobody. You are above. You are the one who's in control. So I hope that resonate with you. I hope you take that to encourage you. But yes, the three biggest tax mistakes that I see, and they are all avoidable. They are all avoidable as long as you don't wait until now. So if you are, so right, actually right now is the perfect time in 2026 for you to be planning for 2027. Right now in 2026, you should be planning for tax season 2027. If you saw my post not too long ago, I was like, hey, who having an event in the UK and Japan? Because I'm trying to tax plan. I'm trying to have a tax plan where I can write off going out the country. Okay, give me a tax deduction so I want to go out the country. Who's planning an event? Who's planning a business retreat or something that I can go to, so I can have that as part of my tax plan? That way, I'm saving money in my pocket. I don't have to use my personal money to fund a trip to go somewhere when I can make it a business expense. That's a part of me tax planning. That's a part of me using tax strategies, and that's what you should be doing in your business right now. You should be looking for opportunities to how I'm gonna save money. If you have children or if you have a spouse, how can I incorporate them in my business to pay them so that I can start reducing my self-employment taxes? Because I just found out today on this live that the self-employment tax, that's the tax that hits the hardest. And how can I prevent from being hit so hard by that tax so that I can have more of my money in my pocket and out of the IRS pockets? Okay, so I hope something I said today helped you. If you are in need of tax support, you want someone like myself to accurately prepare and file your tax return. We are accepting new clients still on March 4th. If you want to learn more about working with me and seeing the back end of my systems and what it's like to work with my company, on March the 4th at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, we're going to have an informational session. Those are free. The link is in the comments. And again, that's where I do an overview about how my company, what we do, the processes that we take to help keep the IRS out of your pockets so that you can focus on living a better life. And I'll show you the system that you'll be using as far as your portal, where you will upload documents, the forms you'll fill out. I'll show you all of that beforehand. But if you're like, Chastity, I don't necessarily need to go to that. I don't necessarily need to meet with you. I already know I want to work with you. Maybe I'm still waiting on my documents. Maybe I'm still waiting on getting my spreadsheet together. And once I have that done, I'm coming your way. I'm coming your way. Then in the comments, I've also put a link directly to my tax services page, because what I do offer at my company is price transparency. Whatever I charge for something, you don't have to get on the call with me. You don't have to email me. The price is on the website, and I do that because, again, I offer price transparency. I don't like seeing someone's services on the website, and I have to call, and I gotta wait for you to call me back, or I gotta put in an email inquiry. I gotta wait for you to email me back. I gotta schedule an appointment. I gotta wait to get on the call with that. I don't like all of that. I don't like. Listen, if the price is just the price, then just let it be known, and I let it be known so that you know. Um, So you know, if you want to work with me, if my price is something that works for you, then it's there. And then also, that's also how you sign up to work with me. That's how you sign up to work with me directly from my website. That's the only way you can become a client, is by paying your deposit first. And so that's why I offer price transparency, so that you can just start from my website. Okay. And I feel like it's kind of cliche to be like, oh, go to my website, but it's not cliche. That is my store. If you want to buy something at Walmart, you got to go to the store. If you want to buy something at Target, you got to go to the store. If you want to go buy something at Amazon, you got to go to their store. Their store for Amazon is their website. If you want to work with Grady Tax Plus, you got to go to my store. My store, that is my website. Okay. So again, I hope something I said here today blesses you. I hope that you can avoid the three biggest tax mistakes that I see in service based business owners. And as I get ready to close for my benediction, just to remind you that we're here every Monday through Friday. Monday, we do our motivational Mondays, which are biblical based. Tuesdays, we do our tax therapy Tuesdays. Wednesday, wellness Wednesday. Thursday, talk to me Thursday. And on Friday, we do fire your boss Fridays. And so those lives are great for you if you're someone who want to fire your boss one day for good. I'm giving you tips and tools and resources in order to show you how to do it for free without feeling like you got to go back into Indeed to look for another job again after you quit. Okay. So again, as I get ready to close for my benediction, if you follow me long enough or know who I am, if you don't want to hear about Jesus, then this is your cue to log off. But I'm a follower of Jesus, and so I've been commissioned to let anybody who I come in contact with understand and hear the good news, whether that's formally, informally, giving you a scripture or whatever it is, in some kind of way, letting you know that I'm a follower of Jesus, and the reason being is because that's how I operate my business. And part of me being transparent with everything that I do is being transparent about how I operate my business, right? Where my help comes from, because oftentimes where my help comes from is how I'm able to have the insight, is how I'm able to just be able to do all the things that I do in my business anyway, right? And so, in Genesis, not in Genesis, but in John chapter 10, which is the scripture that we're going off of for the next couple of months, in John chapter 10, this is a chapter that can actually help you in your business. It's a chapter that can help you in your business, especially for you all who maybe you feel like you're not getting the right clients, or you don't know how to get the clients that you want for your business. Well, in John chapter 10, it talks about sheep and hearing voices, right? When I say hearing voices, for some reason the mental health brain came on. Like, not, I'm not talking about psychosis, okay? In John chapter 10, the Jews, they were questioning Jesus, and they were like, you know what? How long are you going to keep our soul in suspense? If you are the Christ, just tell us, right? And Jesus was like, I told you, but you do not believe me. The works I do, they testify concerning who I am, but you do not believe me because you are not my sheep. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me. And so oftentimes you may think that, and I've been trying to get more in tune with this particular scripture as it relates to business, because this will help you not take on the wrong clients. This will help you not take on the wrong clients, because if there's clients and you're telling them something and they're either not comprehending, or they're going against what you're saying, then guess what? That means that they are not hearing your voice. That means that they are not your sheep. That means you're not supposed to shepherd them. You're not supposed to help them, at least in this season, because the scripture says, when my sheep hear my voice, they follow me. When somebody hears your voice, they listen to what you're saying, they're going to follow. They're not going to give rebuttal. They're not going to go back and forth. They're not going to do all the shenanigans, right? And if you find that you have people who are giving you the blues, they're going back and forth. You said one thing, they're interpreting it as another thing. Then guess what? Those people are not for you, and you have to be okay with understanding that. Okay, let me walk away, because these are not the people who I am meant to shepherd in this season right now. They don't hear my voice. They don't hear my voice, and also, if you need to get to the people who are assigned to your voice, then guess what? They need to actually hear it. They actually need to hear your voice. So you actually have to speak up. You actually have to go live, or you have to be in places, in public speaking places where people can hear what it is that you're saying, because it's something about the way you say it. It's something about the way you gave the message that's going to click inside of them to let them know that, oh, that's my shepherd. That's the person who I'm supposed to follow. That's the person who's supposed to help me in this season. Let me listen to them, right? Let me listen to them. So I really love that chapter in John. Go read it for yourself. Go read it for yourself, and hopefully it inspire you, encourage you to operate your business to where you will not be afraid to speak, right? I don't know why, as entrepreneurs, I hear that sometimes, you're afraid to speak, you're afraid to go live. But why? If you're afraid to do that, that means you're afraid to make money. Because the scripture says that the people who they're called to you, they need to hear your voice. And if they don't hear your voice, then how are you gonna get to the people? Right? How are you gonna get to the people? So so I love that. But ultimately, if you hear Jesus' voice, then follow him. All right, so that's my benediction. I'll be back here on Wednesday for Wellness Wednesday. I hope y'all have an amazing Tuesday, which is the last Tuesday of the month. Make it count, and I'll see you in the next video.